Okay, that's 15 channels. We are live on 15 out of 15 channels. Hello and welcome to the show. Debbie, four-name girl, how's it going? So, I haven't taken my pills yet today. Let's just do that. What is this? What is this? Right when I start my show. What is this? Oh. They're undelivering this one too. What? They're not gonna bring me my dumbbells on the second order. Can you believe this? Undeliverable. What? How is something that's 20 pounds undeliverable? I get 45-pound bags of dog food delivered. I don't understand why they can't deliver dumbbells, dude. And they don't tell me why it is. I'm like, bring me my dumbbells. You know, they're like, oh, we're issuing a refund. We can't bring you this. Why? You brought me a 45-pound bag of dog food. You can't bring me 40 pounds of weights? Neoprene dumbbells? I need, gotta feed the pythons, bro. I gotta feed the anaconda and the python. Without those, I'm dead in the water. Not very happy about that. I don't know. It's, just the call just came through just now as I started the show. It's not very happy about it, man. I want those dumbbells really bad. Man can't exist on push-ups alone. That's what I say. Anyhow, boy, oh boy, oh boy. My mother, I have to give her a commendation. I think she's coming along, and I have to just give her credit because there's a video that we're gonna watch right now from Jimmy Dore that exposes the war machine of the United States federal government. This is how it works. This is what you all have heard and you've learned and you already know it. You know it in your hearts and you know it, but this just kind of puts it on the chalkboard in front of your faces. It's a fantastic video from Jimmy Dore. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to play the video right off the bat, get that over with, out of the way, and then we'll enjoy the rest of the show. Okay, but let's go ahead and get this done. You guys really should see this.
Orfala, friend of the show, Matt Orfala, now works with Matt Taibbi, and he put together this fantastic video. Let's watch it.
So can the U.S. deliver the heavy weapons? The U.S. has contributed, I think, nearly $2 billion in aid, militarily, economic, since this war began. Can the U.S. be doing more?
The most important thing right now is the weapon systems, the weapons they need. They need to have Stingers and the Javelins, but they also need anti-aircraft capabilities. They need anti-missile capabilities. They need anti-tank capabilities. There's a lot of weapon systems, the weapons they need. We have to bring these weapons to get the weapons to the Ukrainians.
Bring the weapons to heal.
Weapon systems, to deliver those weapon systems, make sure that the Ukrainians are getting the weapons with anti-missile capabilities.
Mike, I play more guitar. I play guitar on here all the time. You need to watch more shows. I do play guitar. I'll play guitar for you. Tell me what songs you want to hear while we're watching this, okay?
Patriot missiles, the S-300s, the S-400s, weapon systems, additional aircraft, as many weapons as necessary to provide.
Yeah, I like Mike Elliott. He's like my best friend now. It's like, play more guitar. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Provided.
Undisclosed conflict of interest. He works at a firm whose clients include
Raytheon,
the second largest military contractors in the world.
There you go. Now it keeps going, so watch.
We should arm the Ukrainians, providing weapons, providing supplies, fences to arm weapons with ammunition. We have to simply do more, to do something more. To do more, we will have to do more. More direct involvement of some kind will be inevitable. More arms, more and more pressure for us.
Uses that word more a lot, doesn't he? It's almost like
arms.
It's almost like when he woke up that morning before he got on those shows, he'd look in the mirror and say, now remember, say more. He kept looking at something and remember to say more. And boy, oh boy, more. We need more. That's the word to sell it to you guys. We need more. More war.
conflict of interest. He's on the board
Here, I'll
of
turn it-
directors at
I'll turn it up a little bit.
Lockheed, the largest military contractor in the world.
Arm the Ukrainians, anti-tank, get
Love the
them
sound
armed
effect there.
drones. We need to make sure that we get them air defense systems and ammunition, lots of ammunition. Whatever we can get them,
Ammunition.
we're going to have to continue
Lots of
to arm the
ammunition.
Ukrainians.
Undisclosed conflict of interest. She's the chair of the BAE Systems Board of Directors.
By the way, I've been always for us to update and modernize our nuclear arsenal. That's important.
We need to continue to flow weapons, flow the weapons. They need missiles, anything they ask for. We need to get the
Anything
weapons,
they ask for.
systems, heavy weapons. We ought to be giving them anti-ship missiles, combat jets, good fighter, ammo, howitzers, plenty of firepower, everything. Tanks, the Javelin, get those weapons systems. The S-300 is a good start, but boy, have we got better kit than that to offer.
Have we got better kick than that to offer? Is this crazy? He sounds like Emil, what's his name? The guy, he's like, we're gonna pop some spice into it. What's that guy's name? I forgot his name. The cook, the chef. Anyway, pow! More spice on there. I was gonna say something else too. I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anti-ship missiles. Walk Mine and your favorite song, I think. Pantera, Walk. Mine and your favorite song. Yeah, I love that song. I love it. What pills am I taking, by the way? Or Or rather took? Oh, rather took. Why only 2 likes? Bent from some hemp. Thanks, Bent from some hemp. I took a probiotic and omeprazole. Hey, freaking Oracle, what's up? All right, let's get back into this. The selling of war. This is how they pushed war down your throats. This is how the United States government works so perfectly with big war. And I say big war, that's all these companies they're mentioning, Raytheon and Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin, and everybody that's making money off of this war, that puts faces on TV to talk to you, to explain to you why you need to keep arming these people. Okay? Now, this is what I was going to say. This was the train of thought that I lost. What good is sending all these arms to Ukraine when all the Ukrainians are getting killed? They're running out of soldiers to fire these missiles. So who exactly are the weapons for? They just want the money for the weapons, you know? They're running. People are literally just throwing their weapons down and surrendering over there. You know, and I don't think it matters how many weapons we send them if the soldiers aren't willing to fight. This whole we. Yeah, what's with we, Cannabis? I know, great observation. Cannabis Heals is like, yeah, what's with all this we need to do this, we need to do that, we. You make a very good point. Let's bring that chat back up. There it is. Okay, let's keep going here, guys.
Like Patriot, THAAD, additional offensive capability. These are systems, missile defense systems. Order now. The weapons systems, weapons, shopping list. We've got a lot
Cheers.
of systems.
I want to get through this video.
Additional combat power, those weapons, missiles, weapons.
Undisclosed conflict of interest.
Raytheon.
He's an advisory board member of a firm with Raytheon
course
on
he
its
is.
client list.
So what's that mean? That means it's his job for Raytheon and for the United States government to go on these shows to push it down your throats so you will keep supporting war. That's what your job is. You don't question it. Just keep sending the money. Don't question baby formula shortages. Don't question food shortages all around the world. That's another video we're going to get into after this one. That's why I need to get through this one quickly.
The
Cheers.
increased sending of stingers, increased sending of weapons, and on top of those weapons, more and more sophisticated weaponry. Over and over again, as we give the Ukrainians more advanced systems or surface-to-air missiles, we've of course been providing them offensive weapons, stingers, and offensive weapons, javelins with surface-to-air missiles, weapons, anti-ship missiles, drones, tanks. The Ukrainians are going to need those more.
So this is not censored. This is not considered misinformation or disinformation or propaganda. This is considered news. You know why? Because they fund these people. MSNBC is funded by these people. CNN is funded by these people. ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, they're all funded by these people.
Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of you. You're like, Jimmy keeps saying they're funded, they're funded, they're funded. The MSNBC is funded. CNN is funded. ABC is funded. NBC is funded. All of them are funded by these big companies. And you might ask yourself, how do they launder the money? Through advertisements. And when you watch CNN, and when you watch MSNBC, and when you watch any of these channels that have mainstream media news streaming on them, you will constantly see advertisements from these big war corporations that try to make through their advertising, try to dumb it down and make it seem like, oh, we're protecting America and it's a wonderful thing and it's warm and it's love and it's healthy for you and this is what you're supposed to do. And they keep shoving these advertisements down your throat along with the interviews, and they pay these companies millions and millions and millions of dollars to run the advertisements. That's how they fund the news. And that's why the news can afford to do whatever they want or say whatever they want, because the money's going to keep rolling in whether they lie to you or not, because the money's not coming from you. It's coming from the people that are telling you the lies. Crazy, right?
And that's why it's not considered disinformation or fake news or a problem that we have to censor. We don't have to put any guard.
Mike Elliott, you just said, wow, it's true now that I think of it. Wow. But maybe I'm lying, right or wrong. Good afternoon, Nate. War is a racket. Sweet Lou, what's up? It's a wee bit French, and I'm an American nationality-wise, but maybe I'm lying, right or wrong. I don't know. You're probably French. I don't know. You act like you're a Frenchman. It's true now that I think about it. Okay, pet a dog of war. Okay, Holly Horn, what's up? Let's keep going. I need coffee.
MSNBC, there are no guardrails on CNN.
You guys keep listening. I'm going to get my coffee.
And they're lying. So they're not telling you that the people who are advocating for this stuff are doing so because they have a financial interest in doing so. They're presenting this as straight news. This isn't new, by the way. This is what they've always done. NBC News, Brian Williams, used to bring on generals to talk about the Iraq War. The generals would always be advocating for more war and for more specific weapon systems. And it turns out they were working directly for weapons manufacturers. Brian Williams never told you that. That the people he was bringing on to give you the straight dope about the Iraq War were not giving you the straight dope about the Iraq War, that they were on the payroll of weapons manufacturers. He never told you that. The guy who did tell you that won a Pulitzer Prize for it in the New York Times. Brian Williams still never admitted it and never corrected himself. And this is standard business, baby. So let's watch some more of this.
Sophisticated weapon systems need surface-to-air missiles and air defenses, counter-rocket, counter-artillery, counter-mortar, counter-missile, surface-to-air missiles. The $1 billion of more security assistance. That's what the way the world is going to have to go in responding.
Undisclosed conflict of interest. His client list includes Raytheon.
We're going to have to engage in a long, indirect war. This is World War 2.5. World War 2.5. Will last for a very long time.
Very long time.
Wow.
You know,
Because we need to be supplying as much.
because you know the length of my yachts are very long, so it's got to be a very long war so I can pay for these very long yachts that I'm sailing around the world on. La 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 la. All of them. All of these
as
people.
we possibly can. Munitions like anti-tank javelin missiles, shoulder-fired missiles, small munitions.
Undisclosed conflict of interest. She's on the board of military contractor Booz Allen.
I like it when a lady can come and be a warmonger for killing and wiping people out for profit. Because that's what that is.
What are you
Well,
throwing?
infomercial, they always have like a nice lady to
Yeah.
talk to the the guy with the super pan or whatever.
But now they have, the ladies are the heads of weapons manufacturers. We did a story on it.
It's because they do work with the Girl Scouts to get them
That's right.
in those vital STEM jobs of missile
For the future.
And her firm's client list includes Boeing.
Aircraft. We should also be trying to get them some more planes and some aircraft to fly.
There's talk right now of the U.S. giving Poland some fighter jets so that Poland can give those MiGs that the Ukrainians know how to use.
Shit around
The volume of weapons, armor operations, armored vehicles by the hundreds, these weapons are exactly what they needed and what we have been talking about.
There should be no question where I get my attitude from. At all. Ever.
About for a couple of weeks ourselves.
Undisclosed conflict of interest. He was the longtime
What? Yes, please.
chairman of AM General.
We're going to have to find ways to
Lockheed
keep that
Martin.
equipment rolling. Let's do more.
Hey, full disclosure.
We need to get more.
Full disclosure.
More of what we've been getting. We should have been pouring more and more.
Why can't I
providing
pause
them
the
with
video?
Aircraft provide.
God bless America. Some re-engineer over there won't let me pause the video. I tried to click it 3 times. Like click your heels 3 times, Dorothy. You say there's no place like home. No. Full disclosure, my mother used to work for Martin Marietta before they became Lockheed Martin. So you guys know, for years, my mother worked in this industry. So this is hard for her. It's a little hard for me, to expose all this shit, But it's hard for her to hear it too, and she knows it's going on in the background, so y'all know what's up.
Have to provide long-range artillery. They need much more heavy weapons, more armor, more tanks, more everything. Anti-aircraft, more Stingers, more Javelin, anything.
And they never bring on someone who's against these wars.
Like him.
Where is Aaron Mate? Where's Glenn Greenwald?
Where's Jimmy Dore?
Anybody telling the truth about that?
Where's Jimmy Dore?
Why do you got to go to Fox News?
And that's okay.
To get an
because Jimmy Dore gets millions of views when he does these videos, and so that makes it okay. He does reach people. He's reaching you right now, right? Think about that.
Anti-war message.
You're hearing him.
Why is that?
I'm making
Is
sure.
that weird? I think it's weird.
We can provide them. I would
They're
include
stealing yachts.
anti-ship missile capability, surface
That's
to
a
air
hard word to
missile
spell,
more
isn't it?
advanced.
Cannabis Hills
Pouring
yacht.
in the air defense systems that we have, and the Stinger missiles, the Javelin armed UAVs, deploy armed UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles that are armed. More of that needs to be done. Start going on the offense. I would intensify and try to kill as many as I possibly can.
Undisclosed conflict of interest.
Lockheed.
His client list includes Lockheed Martin, the largest military contractor in the world.
Have you seen these new Tesla solar panels? That lowers power bills to zero with barely
I'm going to
any
grab my
investment
coffee.
on
I'll be
your-
right back.
I want, I'm sure just like you, want to see as many weapons as possible.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I couldn't agree with you more.
Sending in the weapons, it's not going to be enough. Maybe it's time, as the commercial says, to send the very best. And start sending in U.S. weapons.
Weapons that will be constantly coming their way. 1,000 missiles a day.
Like, this isn't the end. We're going to keep this spigot open here and keep flowing arms.
Many powerful weapons.
And what I think we're settling into is going to be a long war.
This isn't going to be a war that's measured in months, but likely years. This war will continue to go on. This war is something that will likely go on for months, if not years ahead. And Vladimir Putin would love nothing more than our attention to get diverted. So staying focused on this front and center is our obligation here in the media.
Wow. I like they got the hot chick to say it, not
Yeah.
dog over here.
Holy shit. That was amazing work by Matt Orfala. Holy shit. So I don't watch the mainstream news anymore. I guess I should. Every night I would watch the mainstream news for at least 2 or 3 hours every day at some point. I used to when I had cable. A hard cable wire or whatever. I cut the cord, what they call it. I don't know. But once I got my floors redone, I never went back to watching TV. Because I had to disconnect all my cable and stuff.
Fake woke,
that was a couple
listen.
years ago. So I
I don't know all about Tom McDonald, okay? I'd have to listen to his lyrics to give you my personal take on where he's coming from, because I don't know. So I'm not going to sit here and promote the guy, because I know my buddy Dino is a big fan of that guy's. There's a big fat guy with the tattoos all over his face, right? Talented guy, definitely. But I'm not necessarily sure about his content, because I've never listened to his music. So I've just, I would have to have that before I sit here and talk about Tom McDonald on the show. I'd have to listen to him, and I'd have to hear what his message basically is. Next thing, I hope the next thing that comes out of your mouth isn't, oh, and by the way, have you guys heard of that guy Jordan Peterson? God, he's phenomenal. He's like a philosopher. Okay. Whatever. I don't know what the hell you're trying to say. If you're trying to sing a song there, I don't know. Holly just says Ben Norton. I don't know why you said Ben Norton. The beauty of our guided missiles, Holly, right? Brian Williams, right? I want to read all your chats. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure I got up to get coffee. I didn't miss anything. Tornado watch near my area. We had one here yesterday, but we made it okay. When we went to that endorphin show, I got a warning on my phone, and Iceman didn't get a warning on his. Wasn't that weird? Saying we need to send boots on the ground. Oh, it's cannabis. We've already got boots on the ground there, man. We've already got people training Ukrainian soldiers there, Americans. Yeah, we're in the war. We're at war. It's a war. It's no longer a proxy war. It's World War III. We're doing it. And there's countries that are taking the side of Russia, too, if you guys aren't aware of that. Those sanctions affected a bunch of people negatively. Watch if he hasn't, hopefully, investigating white slavery. Hopefully, investigating white slavery. I don't know. Ben, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. It's on YouTube, the video titled Investigating White Slavery. Okay, I still don't know what you're talking about. Jordan Peterson's opinions on monogamy. Interesting. Jordan Peters' opinions on monogamy. Wait. Who was this person that was mentioning Tom McDonald? It's the same guy. And then you mentioned... then you went to Jordan Peterson, dude? No, dude. Tell me you heard me say Jordan Peterson and then you mentioned Jordan Peterson, bro, and I did not call that shit. Oh my God, bro. I was like, next thing you're going to do is you're going to be telling me about what a great philosopher Jordan Peterson is. Like I said, I don't know Tom McDonald's content. I just know he's a rapper. He's a singer. My friend Dino loves him. And I don't know what the message is. I know he's political, and I just don't know, and socially motivated. I don't know what those motivations are. I don't know where his head is, because I've never listened to his words before, so I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I mentioned Jordan Peterson first. All right. But you still had something nice to say about him. You were like, Jordan Peterson's, what did you say? Jordan Peterson's stuff on relationships is interesting, on monogamy. Jordan Peterson's opinions on monogamy, interesting. That's you, buddy. You totally said that. It's right there. It's totally right there. I'm wearing it on my proudly. I'm wearing it proudly on my t-shirt, bro. This is a quote from you. Jordan Peterson's opinions on monogamy, interesting. Quoteth you. You didn't have to do that. I would have come and gotten it. Thank you. And I'm sure it will be perfect. Thanks. my healthy dinner tonight. I had a big lunch with spaghetti, and I had a chicken marsala with mushroom sauce all over it. It was so good. So I'm like, I don't want much. I'll just have the potato and the mixed vegetables for dinner tonight. What do you guys think? Nice, huh? Rogan, is your ear okay, buddy? A funnel cloud just outside the city. SATI user? Oh my goodness gracious. I hope you're going to be alright. Be safe, man. Hello, my love. Okay, that's great. I'm sure that you're not the only one in the audience that has that sentiment. So, welcome to the club. What can I say? I'm beautiful. I heard the black Jordan Peterson died. Who is the black Jordan Peterson? I would guess that the black Jordan Peterson would be Jesse Lee Peterson. Dude, don't tell me Jesse Lee Peterson died. I think almost everybody is controlled opposition, maybe even unknowingly controlled. Yes, I love you. Yes. No, look that up. I don't know, man. I've got some nice mixed vegetables here, though. We've got a second video to watch. While I'm eating food, it's talking about a food shortage. I think you should all listen to it. Let's finish this video. It's almost done.
Every time I watch it, it's something like this. Every time I watch it, it's a conflict of interest that they don't disclose. They'll bring on someone to tell you the truth about what's happening in this new war or whatever, but they don't tell you the person is working for a defense company.
Mom, the potato's perfect. Thank you.
Contractor. That's not news. That's called propaganda, and that's what the news does. That's why we have a show that has over 1 million subscribers.
The Facebook thing doesn't even, that's why the Facebook thing didn't really even register with me as a big deal, because it's so quaint compared to seeing this.
It is, right? It is quaint compared to this. Hey, I'm on tour. Come see me in Irvine, California.
Okay, here comes the second video. This is, oh man. This is our friend Guy from Coin Bureau. Okay, here we go. So this is the second video.
If you have no idea what this food crisis of which I speak is, then you're lucky. That's because even if the shelves at your local grocery store are full, you're probably paying a lot more for the food that you're buying. Now, speaking from personal experience, there was a time when it was very hard for me to get my hands on certain types of cereal. After doing some research, it appears as if there were many people around the world in similar situations. Here in the UK, we recently saw headlines about a potential chicken shortage. In other parts of the world, sunflower oil is in short supply. Corn has also become a hot commodity as people scramble to buy it before stockpiles dwindle.
Diesel.
Any of you folks fans of cheesecake or cheese and bagels? Well, earlier this year there was a pretty big shortage of cream cheese in the US. This was because of a broader shortage of dairy products. But guilty pleasures like cheesecake can't compare with some of the other shortages that appear to be impacting the most vulnerable. See all the stories about baby formula shortages in the US. It seems as if this particular squeeze has been going on for almost 2 months. Of course, there are many more shortages out there that I shan't go over here, but you get the picture. Numerous global agencies are chiming in on the food crisis, with the G7 saying that we could face widespread shortages in 2023. The UN food chief trumped that rhetoric by saying that the food crisis that we're facing today is the worst that we've seen since World War II.
Hey, you guys. Feel free to tweet this live video right now on Twitter at Coin Bureau on Twitter, okay? Feel free. Let him know that we're covering his video. That would be great.
Now, of course, the precursor to shortages
tweet it
is,
at all
of
kinds
course,
of people, too.
skyrocketing prices, and these are happening across the board. The US has seen double-digit price increases of items such as ground beef, bacon, eggs, oranges, fish, coffee, pork, milk, and butter, and so on and so on. In fact, if we were to look at the Food Inflation Index from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can see that in April, food prices were up 9.4% over the last year. That's the highest the index has been in months, and is one of the primary drivers behind the broader inflation that we're seeing. Over in Europe, things aren't looking much better. For example, back in April, Germany's largest discount supermarket, Aldi, announced that it would be hiking prices for some food items by between 20 and 50%. Just think about that. Things aren't expected to get better anytime soon. According to the World Bank, food prices are expected to soar by almost 23% this year globally. Moreover, once we get past the stage of exorbitant food prices, we start moving into the territory of severe and acute shortages. Shortages that either force people to adapt and find alternatives, or, in the worst case scenario, go hungry. Now, the reason why this is such a troubling scenario is because the concept of food shortages is almost unheard of in this day and age, at least in richer countries. We have always taken certain things for granted, and the stability of our food supply chains is one of those things. So, how the hell did we get here? Well, there are a number of reasons. The sad reality is that global food security has been a concern for more than a year. Ever since supply chains were thrown completely out of whack by the pandemic, food shortages have become a reality. Even last year, there were many countries that appeared to be in a precarious position in regards to food. This was detailed in the latest food security report, which was completed in March this year. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Indeed, ever since 2020, the prices of food commodities such as wheat, sunflower oil, soybeans, etc. have been steadily creeping up. This meant that earlier this year, food prices were already at some of the highest levels that they had ever been. For example, in 2021, we saw a 28% increase in the price of food, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization's Food Price Index. Food security seems also to have spooked the leader of the nation with the most mouths to feed. That's because late last year, Xi Jinping put the focus on food security as a top priority. Perhaps he knew something the rest of us didn't. Either way, the whole question of food security took on a completely new meaning with Russia's invasion of Ukraine back in February. With that invasion, the entire dynamic of the global food supply chain changed. That's because Ukraine is considered to be one of the most important breadbaskets in the world and the most important food producer in Europe. Its land is incredibly fertile, and prior to the invasion,
I didn't know that. Mom, did you know that Ukraine's one of the largest food producers in Europe? Food. Yeah. Flowers. Yeah. I didn't know that. It makes a lot of sense now.
exported 42% of the world's sunflower oil, 9% of its wheat, almost 10% of its barley, and 16% of its maize.
That gives what
Any disruption to
Ukraine
the
a lot
exports
more
of
value.
such a large food producer is of course going to cause a massive supply shock throughout the world, and that shock is what we're now beginning to feel. It's pretty hard to farm when you have artillery shells flying over your head and all your workers have joined the army. That's why there was such a massive fall in the amounts of these commodities being farmed post-invasion.
That shell didn't explode.
Not only that, but given that Russia
They
has
got lucky with that
embargoed
one.
the Ukrainian ports on the Black Sea, the grain that was being produced can't be exported. For example, given that the merchant fleet is unable to leave Odessa, grain has begun to pile up in storage in Ukraine. By some estimates, there could be as much as 25 million tons of grain sitting in stockpiles and at risk of rotting, a dire situation. So, that's Ukraine. But Russia is also a really large soft commodity exporter. It exports 21% of the world's sunflower oil.
Isn't it interesting that the Russian flag is red, white, and blue as well? It's almost like they're playing for the same team, you know?
15% of its wheat and almost 10% of its barley. Although Russia's farmlands have not been damaged by conflict, exports of these goods have been restricted, partly because of, and in retaliation against, Western sanctions, and partly to secure Russia's own food supply. So, what you effectively have is a situation where over 64% of the world's supply of sunflower oil is at risk of serious disruption, along with 23% of its wheat and 20% of its barley. To give you an idea of just how much that is in the global food tables, analysis by a senior research fellow at the International Food Policy Institute estimates that Russia and Ukraine account for 12% of the global calories that the world trades. Crazy, right? I should also add that the invasion has had an additional impact here on the cost of these end products. It's not just that there's likely to be less supply, but those commodities which are exported will command a much higher price. That's because of the added costs of extraction and transport, higher fuel prices. So if things appear dire, that's because they are, and unfortunately they're only likely to get worse. Firstly, even if the war in Ukraine was to end tomorrow, the damage for this year has already been done. That's because goods take their time to move through global supply chains, and given how slow those are, the impacts are likely to be felt all the way till the end of the year. On top of that, the most arable parts of Ukraine are in the east of the country, which happens to be where most of the fighting is taking place.
Crazy, right?
Arable land is being destroyed, either by the conflict or by Russia's scorched earth policy. Stories abound of farms being stripped of their equipment and landmines being buried in the field.
Mom, the war is destroying all the crops for Europe. It's going to start a massive food shortage all around the world. Part of the master plan, bro.
According to the chief executive.
You know, our leaders know this. Everyone knows this. It's not a secret. It's crazy that we're engaging in this war with this knowledge, knowing what we're bringing upon ourselves.
Ukraine's largest farming companies, they've been unable to plant corn and sunflowers on 30,000 hectares thanks to mines and unexploded shells. You only need to extrapolate this out to all the farmland in the east, and you get an idea of the magnitude of the problem.
All homes had gardens 50 years ago.
How long it could take before this land can be used again, and how long before.
My father grew up on a farm, and they were able to produce their own food, you know?
Could be harvested. The Ukrainian government predicts 25% less land will be planted this spring than usual. And there are many who think that these are some really optimistic estimates. So that's the grim reality of the war on the ground. But even if Ukraine manages to start some of the harvesting again, it could still have to contend with a Russian embargo of its Black Sea ports. This could be seen as retribution by Putin,
it's
and
like
his recent actions tell us anything,
they won't let you distribute it
to settle scores. Yes, there are attempts afoot to move this grain through other modes of transport, like rail.
Because America and the Biden administration thought it was such a great idea to pass sanctions. And so Russia was like, well, we can do that too. This is what we bring upon ourselves with our great ideas.
Even that has issues given the different configurations.
I'm so glad you guys are listening to this with me, and you guys are learning and seeing what's going on in the world. You're getting a good understanding of what's going on.
Potash.
It's important.
Now, for those who don't know, potash
it's getting hotter,
is a key
food's getting more scarce. You should be aware of this.
Russia, as the world's second largest producer, accounts for 18% of global exports. It's a pretty big deal that Russia has restricted this, because it means that those countries that were reliant on fertilizer to increase the yields of their crops will have to find alternatives. Countries like Brazil receive a quarter of all their fertilizer from Russia. Any disruptions to these shipments could have severe implications for the planting season of Brazilian soybeans this summer. Did you know that
I was out
Brazil
working
is
in
the
it.
largest
It was
producer of
pretty
soybeans,
hot.
and that this commodity is a vital ingredient for livestock and poultry feed? Essentially, less soybean production means less meat and chicken production. Shortages and
Right on,
higher
cannabis
prices.
yields.
Less protein for both vegans and non-vegans alike. And this was just one example.
Dab time.
Farmers around the world are dependent on fertilizer for all types of food production. It's hard to appreciate just how interconnected the world food supply chain is until it's so badly disrupted. Now, despite how much people would like to make this about Russia and Ukraine, there are a number of other regions that are facing difficult harvests, and for reasons unrelated to Putin's war. Firstly, did you know that there is a drought taking place across large swathes of US farmland? Land that's essential for the farming of all types of crops.
We were talking about that today.
According to this drought monitor by the USDA, approximately 12% of soybean production is within an area experiencing drought.
I'm just going to...
21% for corn.
I'm going to try to pause the stupid video right there and say, we were literally talking about this on my show earlier today. I was telling you about, we watched a video about Arizonians running out of water and their wells are going dry. Right? We literally covered this on my show.
And an unbelievable 68% for wheat. Now, it goes without saying that drought is no good for crop.
Nancy, I am no longer out in California. I am unable to ship it out right now. I do have a friend out there who was able to ship some out for me, but it's not like I can just call her and boom, she's going to run out there and do it. So the website is shut down right now. What I recommend you do, Nancy, is you watch the show more often. I could give you tips on how to make it yourself. And also, if I am ever able to distribute it again, I figured that out. You'll hear about it first here on the show, guaranteed. So, I am no longer in California. I don't have access to THC oil. So until I get access to THC oil, I am not able to make my triage oil and ship it out. And I've got plenty of it in California. It's just getting it to you. Thank you for the title and concept of the video. You're welcome. We're going to keep talking about this, my brother. Here, keep listening.
In states like Kansas, top wheat producing state, experts are predicting that output will fall well below the 5-year average. This will of course mean less supply and higher prices. On top of these droughts in the Midwestern US, you also have the sorry twist of flooding in other parts of the country, a pretty painful irony if you ask me. In states like Minnesota and the Dakotas, excessive rains have led to a late planting of wheat in the regions. Late planting implies less than optimal conditions for yielding the most wheat. In places like North Dakota, only 8% of wheat has been seeded. This compares to a full 2/3 at this time last year. Of course, these same drought and flooding fears were also playing out across the border in the prairie fields of Canada. Quite simply, North America is being battered by unseasonal weather patterns that just couldn't have come at a worse time. But let's now move halfway across the world to another country that's facing muted production, and that is China. Now, if you'll recall, I mentioned that food security was one of Xi Jinping's main concerns.
Right.
Well, last year, China had record-breaking floods, which have created, quote, big difficulties for food production. That's because these rains have damaged about 30 million acres of crops across the country. What this naturally means is that China has had to rely on imports to make up for the shortfall in yields this year. But perhaps the biggest risk to China's food supply in the short to medium term has been its response to the latest COVID outbreaks. As you'll no doubt know, China has held tight with its zero COVID policy, which has had unbelievable impacts on its economy and the global supply chain. I talked about this in much greater detail in my video about supply chains, which I'll leave in the description for you. The lockdowns and damages to supply chains have ironically further contributed to the CCP's food security concerns. These lockdowns have led to severe shortages of labour,
Oh, you watch every show, Nancy? Great,
According
thank
to
you.
official data, more than a third of farmers in 3 northern provinces have insufficient agricultural inputs after authorities sealed off villages in response to COVID. These 3 provinces account for more than 20% of China's grain production. Another province that's had its farming supply severely curtailed is Jilin. According to the provincial government, about 1/3 of farmers in the region did not have enough fertilizer at the end of March. This was just before they were supposed to begin their planting. I'll link to this FT article below, which can give you a lot more detail on how bad the food crisis could become in China. The fact is that China seems to have risked mass starvation for the unattainable goal of zero COVID. And if you ask residents of Shanghai, I'm sure they could attest to that. Okay, so that's a bit of an overview of the current situation that we find ourselves in. I'm sure there are many other regions that are struggling with their food production, and I don't have the time to go over them all here. But the point is that all this has created a highly volatile situation for global food supplies. And this can have much more severe impacts than just hunger. Firstly, it's worth pointing out that food security is leading to a massive reversal of trade and globalization. Countries are now beginning to restrict their exports for fear of running out of their own local supplies of essential commodities. For example, back in April, Indonesia banned palm oil exports. This was one of the most drastic cases of food protectionism that we've seen since the invasion of Ukraine. Palm oil is an essential commodity which is used for a number of foodstuffs. To understand just how big this ban is, you need to take a look at this chart. Now, Indonesia is the largest exporter of edible oils in the world, as it accounts for a full 35% of all palm oil exports.
Cheers, guys.
Add to this our shortage of sunflower oil, and pretty soon people will have nothing to cook their food with. Now, if you thought that the export controls by Indonesia were bad, then the actions by India last week are going to be even more severe. That's because the country has prohibited wheat exports in a bid to shore up local supplies. This set off alarm bells in other countries that may have been relying on Indian wheat imports to help shore up their local demand. And what do you do as a country if you start having fears about your own food security? Well, you impose your own restrictions. This causes a chain reaction where countries all start restricting exports to the point where trade dries up and those countries that rely on food imports, quite frankly, starve. The countries that are most reliant on these food imports are those in particularly volatile regions of the world. Take a look at this chart over here. It shows the regions that are most likely to be affected by rising wheat prices. Countries in Africa and the Middle East are particularly vulnerable to this. For example, did you know that Egypt imports 80% of its wheat from Russia and Ukraine? Lebanon gets at least 60% of its wheat from the warring nations. I'll remind you that food shortages and high prices were one of the contributing factors to the Arab Spring in 2011, which had its origins in, that's right, Egypt. It's also not as if Lebanon isn't going through its own share of economic trouble with a collapsing currency and crazy levels of inflation. Countries in Africa aren't faring that much better either. According to this report by the UN on the impact of the invasion, Benin and Somalia get all of their wheat from either Ukraine or Russia. These are countries that are not the most stable at the best of times, so when you throw in a food crisis to the mix, it's akin to throwing a match into a tinderbox. Now, even if you don't think that a food crisis in the Middle East or Africa is something you should personally be concerned about, well, I have news for you. As I mentioned, these food crises tend to have a way of turning into political crises, which then further devolve into mass unrest, which has an unfortunate tendency to result in conflict. Conflict and starvation lead to mass migration of peoples away from the country.
And that's what I've always told you guys, isn't it? He got right to it, didn't he? He got right down to exactly what I've always said, is it doesn't matter how it goes down. The way it's going to end is mass migration. Here we go. Let's see what he says about it.
Question. This has the dual effect of draining the country of labour vital for growing food in the future. It also puts strain on those other countries where refugees migrate to. I'll leave a link to a recent podcast by McKinsey, where the consultants talk about the impacts of this global food crisis on the world's stability. It really was an interesting listen. Quite simply, it isn't really a stretch to assume that a global food crisis could lead to massive geopolitical turmoil, the likes of which we haven't seen for quite some time. Now, this all reminds me of an article that I once read in the Scientific American magazine over 10 years ago. It made the argument that food shortages could actually lead to a collapse of civilization. At the time, I thought that it was more science fiction. But in light of what we're seeing today, science fiction could soon become uncomfortably real. And now a few final thoughts from me. I hope that this video didn't come across as overly dramatic. The truth is, I really am concerned about these global food shortages.
Well, good, you should be, and you should look. Guy from Coin Bureau should go check out Dr. Guy McPherson from Nature Bats Last and learn that, everything he's talking about not only is true, is coming true. Let me get rid of this. But, but it's a lot worse than he thinks it is. It's going to happen a lot faster than he thinks it is.
Say your prayers, little one. Don't forget my son, to include everyone. Tuck you in all then, keep you free from sin till the Senate comes. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Something's wrong, something light, having thoughts tonight, and they honest no white. Dreams of war, dreams of fight, dreams of dragons fly, and the things that will pay. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Die before I wake. Pray the Lord my soul to hush a little baby, don't say a word, and never mind that noise you heard. It's just a beast under your bed, in your closet, in your head. Exit line. never, never. Never, never land, take my hand. Rock to never, never land, take my hand. Rock to never, never land, take my hand. You enjoyed that, Nancy? Oh, you're welcome. Taking away moments that make up a dull day. Thinner and waste the hours in an old back way. Get around on a piece of ground in your town. Shorter of breath, one day closer to death. Take care. Thank you. Like you, man, it seems like it started in that key. I guess it did.
funny. It's not. That's not the right key. God, is it that high? It's like so. That seems so high out of my range. That song. That plays some of their stuff, right? Not that song. I play Cheap Trick. What Cheap Trick song? We did 2 Cheap Trick songs, so I must have been able to sing 2 of them. Huh. Isn't that funny? I totally forgot about the Cheap Trick songs. I don't even know what they are. Name some in the chat. Name some Cheap Trick songs. Maybe that was a song we did. To a show one night, a local show in California, and it was a guitar player, and he had a backup guitar player with him, and they were playing acoustic guitars, and he was doing fingerstyle like this, just doing simple stuff, but he was so huge following. He came into my tiny little town and he packed that bar. And it was great. Yeah, that guy was huge. I can't remember the dude's name. But he came, I believe he came in from Texas, or he came in from Nashville. He came in from another state, I believe.
It's all the same. Only the names have changed, and every day seems well used to wait. I know a place where the faces are so cold. Drive all night just to get back home. I'm a brown boy on a steel horse I ride. Wanted, wanted for life. Yeah, I can't, Nancy, I'm not allowed to play that song on YouTube. It's one song I am not allowed to play, Turn the Page by Bob Seger on YouTube. And I know it too. Yeah, I know it really good. I know that song really good. There are songs I can't play them. Johnny was a schoolboy when I heard his first Beatles song. I loved to do what he wasn't there, didn't take him long. Got himself a guitar, used to play every night. And now he's in a rock and roll outfit, everything's alright. Don't you know? Don't you know? John told Mama, hey Mama, Mama's gonna be pissed. You're going to big time, won't be a big star someday. Yeah. His Mama came through the door with a teardrop in her eye. John said, don't cry, Mama, smile and wave goodbye.
good one. Happy, sad, sad, sad all day. God, Mom's still watching that show. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I've got to beware. And he said, stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. What a field day for the heat. 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and carrying signs, mostly saying rainbow outside. And they said, stop, children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. It's going down, stop, hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey, Bent from Some Hemp, I'm gonna block you from my live stream. Just so you know, bro. I hate these out of context motherfuckers, dude. They don't make sense. It's always that same dude, you know? I'm sure. Out of context, dude. Nobody cares, bro. Fucking freak.
chord so hard for me to hit.
Why is the TV so quiet? Oh. I feel like this is my own private concert. Nancy, James, cheers. Dave, almost to your feet in time. Ryan Webb, missed the show. Yeah.
Where did Jamie leave his pails?
Right by the side of the garage there, where that little sidewalk is. It comes into that little third door. Okay. Ryan Webb, you're awesome. By the Allman Brothers. I'm just chilling with y'all. People like you used to give me a reason to live just to hurt. Wow, dude. That's crazy, right? Huh. Looks like I banned the right person, huh? That's funny. I'm enjoying the chords tonight. I really have been enjoying the chords. My dog's sleeping under my leg. You're so cute. My Beazle. You're so cute, buddy. What's going on with you? What's going on with you, bees? What's going on with you, bees? What's going on with you, bees? Well, you wake up in the morning, you hear the work bell ring, and then they march you to the table. You see the same old thing. Ain't no bird up on the table. But you better not complain, boy. You get in trouble with the bed. Welcome to that special. Shines light on me. Let the midnight special. Shine a light on me. Let the midnight special. Shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever loving light on me. Let the midnight special. I know I liked your tweets, Ryan. Thank you. Make sure you guys follow each other and like each other's tweets and retweet each other's tweets. Help each other out over there. Let's have a 145, a 154. Interesting. Interesting turn of events there. Anywho, I'm sure someone's done that before. And what would that sound like? Gonna sing a song, it goes from 154 instead of 145, instead of 145. I'm going to 154 instead of 145. I'm going to 154. 154. It kind of reminds me of of Yellow Ledbetter. That's a 154. 5, and now the 4. It's funny, I figured that out in my head. I was like, there is a 154 song. It's Yellow Ledbetter. It's Little Wing, I guess. Little Wing. I don't know what I know. Good song. 154, right? Is it 145? Because 145 is like that. 145, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that's a B. 2 and a half. Does my head in how you can have a person with a dog with a comb in its coat and it gets hundreds of likes. Shows what it's coming to now. I'm not a robot, dude. What's up? Just 11 people watching our proper Trinity as Divers. Yeah. I'm just fucking with you. I don't care. That clock much better to listen to. Alright, I'm out of here. I hope you guys had fun. You guys take care. I was waiting to see if deer were going to come out, actually, man. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah. I thought that'd be a cool way to go with the show. But our friends didn't show up, man. They were here earlier, for sure. But, anyway. Bye, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Top of the hour to y'all. Bye.